Should Ilia Topuria be considered the all-time GOAT at featherweight? I know most of you are going to be upset at this conversation, but this is going on online as we speak. A lot of people considered Ilia Topuria the featherweight GOAT just because he has wins over Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway. First things first, you can't deny that 2024 was Ilia Topuria's year. He had an amazing year, defeating Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway, both of them by knockout. When you consider that Holloway had never been knocked out, that elevates it even more. And I know Alex Pereira also had a great year, and that's why there's a huge debate over who should be considered the fighter of the year. Some people consider Pereira's activity, the short notice fights should be enough to earn him that award. And other people consider that the magnitude of Topuria's wins is greater than what Alex Pereira did, giving him the edge in that conversation. But that's not what I want to focus on this video. I want to focus on the conversation of the all-time great in the featherweight division, 145 pounds. Now, for the past couple of years, there's something I've been feeling and saying constantly. The word GOAT has been prostituted a lot. A fighter shows a lot of potential, gets a few good wins, and automatically people bring in the conversation about, should he be the GOAT? Is he the GOAT? Is he the GOAT at lightweight? Is he the GOAT at welterweight? And we've seen this. We've seen this with Islam Makhachev recently. We've seen it with Kamaru Usman in the past. We've seen it now with Ilia Topuria. First of all, when I consider someone the GOAT of a specific division, because I think that overall most people consider either John Jones, Demetrius Johnson, Anderson Silva, or George St. Pierre the all-time GOAT, longevity is a big part of the conversation. For example, John Jones, he not only had multiple title defenses, he also transitioned multiple generations in the light heavyweight division, earning him that acronym above a lot of fighters. Demetrius Johnson also could have a claim to that, George St. Pierre, and so on. But with Ilia Topuria, it's a different conversation. It's a different time. First of all, we got to realize that times have changed. It is very common now for fighters to try to jump divisions quicker than they tried to do so in the past. Why? Because there's more money to be made, because times are different, because social media changed the game forever. And that's one thing we got to realize. That is the reason why most fighters get one or two big wins and automatically try to challenge the next division champion. And that's what's happening with Ilia Topuria. Before 2024 ended, he did an interview on a very popular Spanish show where he said, "I'm done with featherweight. I hate the weight cut. I can barely make weight. This is doing a lot of harm to my body. I want to go up and challenge Islam Makhachev." That created a lot of headlines in Spanish. I'm not 100% sure in English, but it was pretty big. I can guarantee that a lot of eyes were around that conversation. Why? Because people were like, okay, you just had two great wins. There's still a couple of good challenges at 145. Why abandon that? And that's one of the biggest problems when you try to consider Ilia the all-time great at featherweight. Surely when you look at his career, his attributes, his power, the way he fights, he has the potential of becoming the all-time great at featherweight. But there's one thing you got to take into consideration. José Aldo. If I'm not mistaken, José Aldo had 7 title defenses. 5 for Alexander Volkanovski and 3 for Max Holloway. And then when you consider Topuria only has 1, it makes it a little bit complicated to make an argument on his favor. Now, does he deserve to be among the greats? Well, yeah. 2 wins over Holloway and Volkanovski in a consecutive fashion, that's pretty big. And when you consider they were done by knockout, that makes it even more amazing. However, longevity, in my opinion, is an extremely important part of this conversation. And Ilia right now is lacking that. We don't even know if he's going to defend the title at featherweight. Mind you, I do think he's going to stay in this division, but there's still a lot of doubt around that conversation. Why? Because he said he wanted to go up to 55 to challenge Islam, but he also wants to take on Charles Oliveira. Why? That's a pretty smart move. If you consider he's moving up in a weight class, he's trying to fight the #1 challenger. Why? If he beats him, a title opportunity is within reach. So it makes a lot of sense for Ilia Topuria to do that. Now, does it make sense for his career? Well, it depends on what you value, right? When we talk about legacy, longevity, those are things that a lot of fighters in the past have chased and achieved, and some of them are not doing so well economically today. And I think people nowadays focus a little bit more on the economy part, how much money I can make, how much funds I can secure for my future, rather than I want legacy. Why? Because legacy doesn't put food on the table. Simple as that. Legacy does not put food on the table. So Ilia Topuria at this point of his career is valuing the business. He wants to make as much money as possible in the shorter time possible. So he's trying to chase greatness in a different way. I'm pretty sure that we are done with those long title reigns, the Demetrius Johnsons, the Amanda Nunes, the John Jones. I don't think we're going to see fighters do that unless we're talking about maybe a Tom Aspinall, who surely cannot make light heavyweight, and there's nothing to go above that. But fighters in the lightweight, featherweight, bantamweight, maybe even welterweight, I don't see them having those long title reigns without trying to challenge for a different title. Why? We've seen the Makhachev conversation recently where Javier Mendez said he's pretty sure he can beat any middleweight right now. Then Ali Abdelaziz said he's pretty sure he can even beat Alex Pereira. So even managers and coaches are being part of this whole conversation where fighters are just not going to stay in their division for a long period of time. Now, when you look at the 145 division today, Diego Lopez is in line. Alexander Volkanovski surely deserves a rematch. People can make an argument for Movsar Evloev too. Are those big fights for Ilia Topuria as Makhachev or Oliveira would be? In my opinion, no. I know if he goes up, he relinquishes the title. He's not going to be paid as much, but he might get some pay-per-view points. We don't know. We need to see how the negotiations are taking place and what's happening in that table to be able to determine where he can go in the next division. To me, Oliveira and Makhachev are pretty big fights for Ilia Topuria. And I do consider that he has a lot of future in that division. He knocked out Max Holloway. We cannot ignore the fact that, yeah, he also got hurt at 155. I'm pretty sure that things are going to be a little bit more complicated for Topuria at lightweight. But you cannot deny that he also has a puncher's chance. We've seen him like trade with big fighters and being able to take it and continue moving forward. So his career is very interesting. He's a fighter that's showing a lot of potential. He's a fighter that has shown that he can do great things, but he's chasing it in a whole different way. It's a mixture of what Conor did, right? He had the popularity, he changed divisions, he became a crazy superstar. And in my opinion, that's what Topuria is chasing right now. He's not chasing Conor, but he's chasing what Conor did, becoming the biggest person he can be, because that brings in the more revenue. Legacy, yes, legacy can come later. He's still young. That's another thing a lot of people don't realize. Maybe he can do what people want him to do at featherweight at 55. We don't know for a fact. We need to see him compete to be able to put a stamp on that. But one thing is for sure. Ilia Topuria, although he might be among the greatest featherweights to ever compete within the UFC, is definitely not the all-time great at featherweight today. I think a couple of title defenses could do a lot for him, and it would certainly put him in that conversation because times are different. Times are different. People are going to talk about how deep the featherweight division is right now, but this is what he has. This is what he has. It's not like he can have the same division Holloway had or the same division Volkanovski had. This is what he has. And I do agree that there's a lot of challenges left and he can build an all-time great kind of career in this division. But ultimately, that's going to rely on how much money he can make, how big fights can be in this division. I'm pretty sure Diego Lopez will be a great fight and Movsar, but I'm pretty sure also that both of those fights will not be as big as Topuria Oliveira or Topuria Makhachev. Well, people, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching this first video in English. I want to introduce myself. My name is Eric Alexander, and I'm a Spanish creator. I have a channel in Spanish called Liga Combate. And for a long period of time, I wanted to dabble into an English channel to just give my thoughts, get a little bit more fluent. So I apologize if I stuttered, if I messed up at a couple of words. This will get better as time goes by, but I want to appreciate each and every one of you. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Let's help me build this channel as well. And if you like Spanish content, you can also look up my Spanish channel, Liga Combate. Without anything else to add, I'll see you on the next video.